Over 16 million times, chess player fell for this same opening trap. This looks like a normal developing move, but in reality is already a blunder. Today I will show you how to win quickly when your opponent blunders this way, and then how to get a great position also in all the other variations of this opening. Let's go! And we go with knight c3, the beginning of the 4 knights. Now this is one move that can potentially end up to be very bad for black. We're going to give away the knight. And the point is that after knight takes, we have a fork and we're winning back immediately a piece. Now the most natural move is already quite suspicious for black. The natural move is to capture with the bishop the pawn, because I'm taking with the queen, and once this knight is moving away, opa, we are winning a pawn, attacking the rook. Now there is just one move that is saving black, and is this one. But the queen here is going to be in bad shape. I'm not going to trade the queens, but I will go all the way back, already attacking another pawn. One more very strong move could be knight d5. And I think we might do exactly that. Or maybe bishop here attacking the queen. Okay, let's go. Knight d5. The queen has to go back, only way to defend this pawn. And then we might keep going with bishop g5 or bishop e2. Something like this. Wait a second. Wait a minute. If the queen goes back, cannot we go with the queen here and we win the rook? Oh ho! I think that works. Ah, that's why they go here. But they are saving this rook, but they won't save this one. I'm now trading the queens and then taking here. This is a fork. We are winning a rook. And we are completely winning here. But hey, how to convert this? It's not so simple, because this knight is at the edge of the board and doesn't have a way to come back to play. So we might lose that knight. Very important, in every position you always need to bring out all your pieces, and my bishops are now finally joining the game. I also need to castle. The castle has a 2... Oh, wait, my knight can go out actually. If you can save a piece, save it. Now we try... Ooh, no, we take here, attacking the rook. We want even more material. Always look for checks, captures, and threats. These are very strong type of moves. Now my bishop is under attack, so we move it back. I have a full... Wait, a rook and the bishop? Okay, and the pawn? Let's go, collect all the free pieces. GG's. Quick analysis, the move knight c6 was a big blunder. The only move for black here is to play the move d6 to protect the knight this way. If you're white in this position, you already have the bishop here. What you have to do is to complete the development, and you will do by playing bishop f4. Now you're already threatening to win one more pawn, and then potentially also this one, because it would be a check, this pawn hanging the rook, a catastrophe. So actually black has to play the move f6 here. And if you know opening principles, you should never... Okay, well, you should try not to push the f-pawn. So this is already a very tough move. And here you're white, you're not going to trade your strong bishop for the knight. You're just going to go long castle, finish your development, maybe bishop e5. Sometimes you can even play bishop g3 with the idea to keep going with f4, e5, crush the center, win the game. And we are one more time in the 4 knights. Now the most natural move is bishop c5, and what are you going to do? Take this pawn. You're sacrificing a knight, but with the fork you're winning back the piece. And guys, this is going exactly the same. Now this knight is under attack. What? This works 100% of times. What is this? This is the same exact game as before. How is this possible? All right. So we keep going with knight here. Now we're attacking pawn number 1 and the queen. What? I don't know. This feels like a deja vu. I don't know what is going on. Okay, this is the first novelty, guys. Attention. But now we develop the bishop. And... Alright, that's great. Now we bring the knight back. We'll save the knight. Take a free. Wow. Okay. For the first time, we are in a real 4 knight, and my suggestion here is to play the move d4, which is the Scotch 4 knights. Sorry, the 4 knight Scotch variation. Now we take right back with the knight, and this is a very typical mistake. Because it's true, they think like, oh, but your queen is out, you shouldn't go with the queen out too early. But how is black going to attack my queen? There is no way. The bishop cannot attack, there is not a knight that can attack my queen. So actually this queen is powerful there. I will keep going with my development. So bishop out, long castle. I love to long castle in these situations, and I think I'm already winning material here. I can just trade the queens as well, and then my knight is going to settle at the center of the board. I'm attacking pawn number 1, pawn number 2. There is no way to defend both of them, and this pawn is actually coming with a fork, so it's very important to do something about it. And I think the only way is to move the king. Probably this is the best square, because at least I'm not taking here with a check. Now I'm actually not going to take this pawn, because after bishop here, I have to move the knight again, and then I'm losing this pawn. So I'm just castling, and I'm saying like, hey, your pawns are weak. This is going to be a very a positional battle where my opponent will eventually lose. No, I'm kidding. Where we have to actually still fight for the advantage. So we complete the development, and we need to try to exploit the weaknesses that black is having, which are right now this king in the middle of the board and those pawns. There is a pawn under attack, so we protect it with this other pawn. All right. I don't want to leave my bishop unprotected, so I move my bishop one step back. So the bishop is now protected by the 2 pawns. How to move on here is honestly not that simple, but they are already making a few mistakes. I think this move is a big mistake, because this pawn is now another target for us. And trading here is a big mistake. Now we can see an example of chess domination. Look at this knight, completely dominating this bishop. The bishop has to go back, and then the knight is controlling all the squares where that poor bishop could go. How do we strike? We have to activate the rooks somehow. So I will start to bring also the other rook there, attacking here one more time. Usually in chess, they say that when your opponent has one weakness, that's not enough to win the game. They need to have at least 2 weaknesses. It's the theory of the double weakness. So we need to somehow have a different target. And I think this one can be a different one. But we need to slowly get there. I will slowly start to get some space. This is a technique that grandmasters are very good at. Slowly improve my position. So I will bring the king there, push this pawn, maybe bring the rook there to protect this one, to push this other pawn. Maybe bring another rook there and the rook here, attacking this pawn. And once I will have all that space, that is going to be very tough for my opponent. All right, I push this. I will play this because I want to play the move f4. All right, I play this move because I don't want to allow this check. So now b4 could be an idea. The rook is almost out of squares. I think now it's a very important moment to play this move. The rook is almost out of squares to come back here. b4 is almost winning this rook, which is very nice. Because if we can just make this rook have to wait on a6, then we're winning for real. Maybe the best move is to sacrifice the rook for the knight. Okay, so this is unfortunately a bad move. Because yes, they are stopping the idea of b4, but this rook is anyway out of the game automatically. Plus they are creating a huge weakness now on d5, on b5, everywhere. Okay, they're trying to fight. I like it. I like it. I'll go with the knight back here. Now this pawn is free, has to be pushed, but then I will follow it with the rook. Okay, they're just taking there. I will just take with the pawn, you know? I could have taken with the knight, but I don't want to leave my 2 pawns doubled, so I take like this. Ah, that's an interesting idea. Because now this pawn is hanging. I can protect it with the king, and I will. Yeah, absolutely. I can take this pawn later, no stress. This is a very nice example, is that my weaknesses are not really a problem, because this pawn, okay, is attacked once, I can just protect it. The pawn can be attacked also a second time, I can protect it. Instead, the weaknesses of my opponent cannot really be defended. And also they have more weaknesses than mine. So even if we trade a pawn, let's say they are able to get this pawn, I'm going to get this one, then my knight is going here, I'm going to get also that other pawn. So let's follow this guy. Boom. And now the knight is also about to land on d5. I'll play first this check, because if I take, maybe there is the move f5. So I go here, so I can at any point take that bishop. So now, what about taking? f5? I can play just that move. Or I could take here. Okay, this seems good enough. So we won a pawn, now we have a pass pawn. If f5 is played, we can now trade this. Usually you should never trade the strong knight for this bad bishop. But if I can win 2 pawns, then I will have a winning endgame. So that's allowed. Alright, they are not even trying to trade. They want to go with the bishop. They're attacking the rook once, it's not really a big problem for us. So we move the rook, attacking another very weak pawn. And I think this is not a problem, because we can take here with the check. If the king moves here, attacking the rook, we can take also that other pawn. Alright, it's time for us to go and push this pawn. Yes, yes. Why not? We keep pushing. Yes, yes, why not? Okay. Sorry. I think we have a check. Boom. And maybe they have to play this move in order to... Okay, not to lose another pawn. Now they did. Yeah, GG's. This is like a slow distraction for them. +3, I can just start to push my pawns, move this knight maybe here, get this other pawn. It's not a fun position for black. 2 big mistakes for black in this game, and is to trade this knight. The best move in this position is to go out with the bishop instead, pinning this knight. And then the second big mistake was to trade out this bishop. All the light squares are now very weak, and this bishop is in very bad shape. 4 knights. There we go. Scotch variation we take back now. Taking here again is a bad move, but this is the strongest move for black. Great job by my opponent. What is their idea? They're pinning the knight that is protecting this pawn. So this pawn is now hanging. There is one way to defend this pawn with this bishop and this bishop there. But if we play bishop there, we blunder the knight, right? It's just hanging. That's why we have first to take here, intermezzo, we're attacking the queen. So they have to take back with this pawn. And just now, we can protect this pawn with the bishop, and we're ready to castle. We have almost completed our development. There we go. And bishop g5, we are pinning. And now it's game on. And there are many ideas here for white, how you can play in this middle game. I will show you a few. For example, of course now is black to move, so it depends a bit what they play. But usually very typical moves is, as there is no knight here, because we have traded, the knight has been traded, we can place the queen on f3. Now h6 is asking a question, do you want to move back? Do you want to keep the... yeah, I will keep the pin of this knight. Now black has a chance to actually win a pawn by playing g5, bishop here, bishop takes, pawn takes. Okay, they are not going for it, and it makes sense that they are not going for it. I'm gonna take, and now I will show you already a very good... Okay, they took there. Good decision. What I wanted to show here is that if they just take here, you can take this bishop, because after queen takes, you're taking here, you're winning a pawn, and then you're trading the bishop pair. So you're just in a much better endgame because you have an extra pawn, and it's gonna be this bishop versus this bishop. If they take like this, now we have the bishop here. And in such an open position, this is a very good advantage. I know that we have 2 pawns that are a bit weak, 2 double pawns, but it shouldn't be a big deal. I'll go with the queen out. I want to bring the rook to the d file, and I can always try to trade this pawn, boom, by playing the move c4. This is how we need to play this endgame, and there will be lots of pressure. It's really hard for black. Try to find a move for black. What do you play? Yeah, okay, queen there, because you are unpinning this knight at least. But now c4. Oh! I missed that there is bishop g4 now. Oh. Okay, small problem. Little problem. That's actually a big problem. Not small at all. Because the queen has no squares. Like, I have to go here, now I'm even trading the queens. Oh! Oh! How did that happen? I'm shocked. I guess you have to subscribe and this will happen in your next game. Do not challenge karma. Quick analysis here. You might want to remember to play the move h3. It's very helpful to block this bishop from coming to g4, and then you can keep going with what we have done during the game. Queen f3, rook d1, c4. You have the bishop pair, which is a very comfortable advantage, especially in a position that is so open. So I think white here has very good chances to fight for a win. During these 5 games, I couldn't show you 2 moves that black can play and that you need to be prepared against. Here, in this position, we know that black has 2 options, bishop c5 and knight f6. We have just seen what you should do against knight f6. What do we do after bishop c5? We know very well that we can go for the crazy sacrifice, knight takes c5, because after knight takes, we play the move d4. But attention, here is the first move. The best move for black in this position is not to capture with the bishop, which is the most natural move, but they should play bishop d6, because they are giving away the knight, but they are keeping the bishop and taking back the pawn as well. So this position, white is still a bit better, has still a little advantage, and I suggest you to play the move f4 here, because you're basically forcing black to give away the bishop pair, to give away this bishop. If they go with the bishop back, you keep moving forward, you take even more space. The bishop is very sad here. It's not so easy for them to develop this knight. You will just develop your pieces, castle, and you will have a very nice position. You have more space in the center. White is literally vibing. And if you see the evaluation, white is having +1 point almost, which means like you have an extra pawn, even if you don't have an extra pawn. So the advantage of space, piece activity is huge here. Second move, you need to know, actually no, we need to see, what if black is taking this knight? Because after pawn takes, we have an unbalanced position. We have the bishop pair that we know in open position is a very good thing, but we have 2 weak pawns. Now, I think that this weakness here is not relevant and you shouldn't be scared about. What you should play here is to just keep developing your pieces. For example, bishop here, castle. About this bishop, you can be a bit flexible. The bishop could go here, for example, and you're blocking the king from castling. Already amazing. After the move d6, you could think about challenging with the move e5. About this rook, you can use a very open file, and those pawns are weak, yes, but the real weaknesses are just those that can be exploited. How is black going to attack those pawns? It's not so easy. There is one move, queen f6, that is attacking this pawn, but you will be very easily able to protect it. For example, with queen d2, or with bishop b2, or with bishop d2. You have so many ways to protect those pawns. It shouldn't be a real danger for you. So this position I really like. There is one more move that we need to see, and then you're ready to play this opening and to win all your games. Okay, so after knight take e5, if black understands the idea that you want to do the fork, they might say like, okay, let me give away the bishop first, and after king takes, I'm taking back the piece. This is equal material. It has been a fancy trade of a piece, but black has lost the possibility to castle. And usually we might think like, okay, the king there is weak, is exposed. This must be bad for white, but that's not true. And you need to know just a little, very little, and then you will be fine. What you need to know is how to deal with this weak king and how to develop all your pieces. So very important, every time you have the opportunity to go with two pawns in the center of the board next to each other is almost always a very good move. Now the knight needs to move, and the most natural way is to go over there because the knight maybe has chances to attack this king. One more option is to go with the knight here, and now you have to be shortly careful that the knight is attacking this pawn, which is protected by the queen, but you always need to look for queen f6 check. In this case, the queen on f6 is giving a check, attacking the pawn, so you might lose a pawn if you play a random move. That's why bishop e3 is the best move, protecting this pawn one more time. How do we castle then? So let's see it from this position. Let's say the knight goes on g6. It's the same also if the knight goes on c6. You need to understand the idea. So in order to castle, if we could play 3 moves, we would develop this bishop, we would move this rook on f1, and then we would bring the king on g1. And then our king is safe. You might say, okay, but why don't we go directly with the king on g1? That would be a mistake because our rook is going to be trapped. He is not joining the game. And remember, the purpose of castling is double. We want to bring the king to safety, but we also want to bring the rook to the party. So we don't have to forget about the rook. And black has a way to force us to have an uncomfortable position, because after we go with the bishop out, looking at this weak point, there is queen f6 check that can be played. And now our king needs to move, and you have to go to g1. Well, you can also go to e1, but I suggest you to go to g1. And now you have to remember one idea, how you're going to castle. You're going to play the move h3, king h2, and then rook f1. And once you've done all this, you have an amazing position. You have the bishop pair again, which is a very nice advantage. You have huge control over the center. All your pieces are very active. And once the rook is on f1, you will be counterattacking this pawn. So you're almost winning. Also in this position, as black has moved the queen far away already, you might always want to look for moves like knight d5 or knight b5, attacking this pawn that is unprotected and would be a fork winning a rook. If you enjoy learning chess openings and you want to learn something for the black pieces against 1d4, I suggest you to have a look at this video. It's a simple setup that you can use it against almost everything that white plays. Check it out, it made me win also so many games. Thank you for watching.